She's black and vocal, vocal, vocal. She's black and vocal as fuck, vocal. She's black and vocal, vocal, vocal. She's black and vocal as fuck, vocal, vocal as fuck.
What up? It's your girl, Sean Janae, aka Soul Sister, and we are back with episode 6 of the Black and Vocal as Fuck podcast. And today we are going to talk about fatherhood, specifically black fatherhood, specifically black single fatherhood. I've got some awesome guests on my show today. I will let them introduce themselves, and we will get right in it.
Okay. I was like, I don't know who's gonna go. Hello, my name is Hassan Muhammad. I am a single father, girl's dad, realtor. Hit me up.
Okay, we're going to give y'all his information so y'all can hit him up later. Not about anything other than real estate.
Real estate.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
But are you single?
Yes.
But he is single, just so you know, ladies. Only ladies. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
All right, yeah. My name is Maurice. I'm a single father of 4, 2 girls, 2 boys. Just getting through life.
Yeah. All right, that's what's up. So, primary goal of this show. We were born in. How old are you?
39.
Okay, so yeah, we was born in the 80s, raised in the 90s. Single fathers were not a thing back then. Anybody who, and I don't know if it's just Kansas City or period, but you're raised by your mother or your mother and dad, one or the two, or possibly grandparents. But very, very rarely did we see a father raising children on his own. Generally, if we did, there was something very traumatic associated with the mother or the rest of the family. So it was essentially by circumstance. And even today in 2023, honestly, I have a relationship with both of these gentlemen, which is why they're here. But I don't know many single fathers. I don't know many men that are raising children, have custody of their children, and that are raising them without a mother around. So I want to talk about it. I want to talk about how it happened, why it happened. It ain't easy. I've been a single mother. I know it's not easy, but I think it's extremely more difficult for these men, and we're going to talk about why. So first of all, let's start with Maurice, because Maurice's oldest child is 20.
Yes.
Okay, so he's been in the game longer than you, so you just got trumped. Have you always been a single father?
No, I haven't always been a single father. I was married. After I got divorced a couple of years ago, I really don't keep up with time limits on any of that stuff anymore. So, but anyway, I was married for over a decade, got divorced, was separated for probably like 4 or 5 years before I got divorced, and ended up with custody of the kids. So, been pretty much a single father since the separation.
You ended up with custody.
Yeah, I ended up with custody of the kids. The reason why I say I ended up with custody of the kids is because when we went through our separation, we lived in a totally different state.
Okay.
I moved back to Kansas City with the kids. So I had the kids in my custody. Throughout that, 3 to 4 years of separation, once we actually started going through the divorce, the courts just deemed it that, they wasn't going to make the kids go back to the mom just because the mom wanted them. It wasn't like anybody had a better situation than the other. It's just I ended up with custody of them because I had them.
Okay. So not necessarily intentional, not accidental. It's just that you had the children.
Yeah, I mean, I had
sense.
the children. I was taking care of my responsibility. I was going to always be there. And even if I didn't have the children, I would have fought for them. So, I mean,
period.
It worked out the way it was supposed to work out.
Okay. All right. So, oldest is 20, youngest is
13.
2 boys, 2 girls.
Yep.
Okay.
The 2 girls older, 2 boys are younger.
Okay. They bad as fuck. They always harassing me only the boys. I love the girls. What about you?
How I ended up being a single father, basically me and my kids, me and her mother, we actually broke up during Texas. So during the time of us being in Texas, that's when we were already kind of doing our co-parenting thing down there, which was, we were making it work, but it was definitely a little it was super difficult. Um, and when it was just basically a conversation, we was already supposed to um, move back together. So initially, when I moved back, I packed up just like Maurice. I packed up the kids. I packed up the dog in the U-Haul, and we moved back to Kansas City. And how I just really, after being here for like, because I've only been here in Kansas City for now 4 years, and I just kept on having this like eerie feeling, and I kept on telling myself, well, Hassan, you're gonna have to do something. Like my sisters would tell me, protect yourself. My dad would be like, you gotta protect yourself, and I'd be like, well, let her, live her life. Like I was like, I knew that I had my responsibilities. I wasn't tripping off of her because I was like, she knows what she's supposed to do at the end of the day. So, but just one day I was like, well, forget it. I'm gonna go for custody, and I went for it, and it definitely turned everything upside down. But it was a great decision.
So you said protect yourself, and you mentioned custody, which is something that you didn't mention, Maurice. When you moved back from Kansas City, the children were physically with you, but did you actually have custody of them?
No, not legal custody. They was physically with me. I never gained legal custody until I actually went through my divorce.
Okay.
That's when I gained legal custody. But like, still, even legally wise, if the kids are with you for half a year and a day, you still actually have legal custody.
You have primary custody.
You still have legal primary custody.
Okay.
Which means that if, they were to come take the kids, you can go take them right back because they were still with you for the year and a day. Like, all you have to do is get all your paperwork as far as them going to school, doctor visits, all that other stuff. Go down there, prove that they were actually with you in the state of Missouri for a year and a day, and you're actually the primary custody of the kids.
Do they really say a year and a day? So 366 days?
A year and a day.
Okay, so when you move...
Well, half a year and a day.
Half a year and a day.
It's
So
half a
most
year and a
of, more than half of the year.
Yes.
So you were living in a different state. We're in Kansas City, Missouri. Y'all already know, home of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You were in a different state. That's why I got my red, y'all. So you were in...
Well, I was in Georgia.
Georgia?
At the
Okay.
time, yeah.
So you moved back to Kansas City. You and your family were all there. You moved back with the children. You were in Texas. And then you and your children's mother planned to move back, but so it seemed you end up moving back separately. And when you moved back with the girls, you did not have primary legal custody. Okay.
No.
That's something I want to highlight because a lot
different.
of parents do not understand, women and men, that having children in your home 100% of the time does not grant you legal custody. If you have not went to the courts and have it identified in the court system, nobody has custody.
Or if you're married.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're married, that's automatic. They don't question anything. But
Yeah,
if you
and that was the thing with me because I was still legally married and I had them for that time period. I
That's
actually had custody.
You had
That's
okay,
what
so
made it
you guys
easier.
have two different situations.
Yeah.
So you had a bigger struggle essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it okay? So
well,
this,
no, I wouldn't say a bigger, because I already, with far as the courts, I know like in my situation, I know like they're already heavily on the women's side anyway, and that's just due to society of how like they played it. But I would say mine was difficult because as soon as I told my girl's mother that I was going for custody, she took my kids. So she took them straight back to Texas, and then she filed a paperwork saying that she had them for 6 months. So I had to get a lawyer just for down there because they wasn't gonna allow me to take them back after showing all my documentations. They were like, they don't care. So
what type of? Because this is what people don't understand. And when I met my husband, I always told him he was a great dad, and he always argued with it because when you see a bad dad, you know what a good dad is. So I personally know that, like Hassan said, the legal system isn't set up for men. But I also know that the lawyers aren't inexpensive. Like, how much does it cost to obtain? So essentially, in your situation, you just needed a lawyer to show the courts what was facts, which was that the girls had already been with you.
yeah.
Is that, how much does that run?
In total, I spent $20,000 to do the custody, Texas, everything, to do what I have to do. And I understand, like, if you don't have a certain, like, you may have a janky lawyer. I will say my lawyer's not even with their with her place no more. And shout out to Hannah, she was amazing.
Okay, Hannah, thank you.
Amazing. Um, but it's a hard fought battle, and sometimes, like, you do feel like you want to give up, and then you have certain situations where people don't really believe you, or they question your validity of you being a father, and that's also disheartening, especially when it is on the system side where they're supposed to be non-judgmental, but they're definitely judgmental.
They definitely judge, and they definitely, like you said, judge normally siding towards the women, because in our reality, I mean, we can sugarcoat the shit, but children are with their mothers most of the time. If the fathers and the mothers aren't together, children are with their mothers. So when you do have men that are trying to take that step and become full-time fathers, unfortunately, instead of making it easier, it makes it more difficult. Now, I ain't a mathematician, but I don't have 20 grand laying around.
Man.
What the hell? Like, how do you make that work, trying to work full time, take care of your children, and then come up with this money that maybe you got it, maybe I don't know, but that's not a small sum of money.
No, it is absolutely not. And at the time, I had a really, really good job, like probably the most money I've ever made for a company. So I was able to do a lot, but also I will say family is huge. I'd be a person that would never say family's not important. I would never discount like the family love that I actually have, and overall support. I don't never, to the point where I'm like, if my family do something for anybody else, that's what they choose to do. I don't, because I understand the type of heart that they have. So I don't question their moves because I understand where it's coming from.
So, despite you having a good job, you have family support. And I feel like saying family isn't even enough. You had supportive family.
Yeah.
Because everybody has family, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not they are for you or against you or can help you or cannot help you, the
Most
support is essential. So,
Yeah.
how long did that last? How long did it take between the time you came back here, do you regret telling her you were getting ready to take custody?
No. I actually told my lawyer that I was going to tell her, and my lawyer was like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, my friends was like, why would you do that? Because at the time, it's funny, she moved back. I moved back to Kansas City. 6 months later, she moved back to Kansas City. And then 2 months or some odd time, she moved right back and left Kansas City. Because we had a conversation. She was like, well, Hassan, I feel that I had kids at a young age, and I'm just not ready. And me just listening, I didn't say anything. I just understood that, yes, you're not ready. And then at the end of the day, who's ready? But somebody has to be ready. So I feel like that was the moment. So I let her live her life. Like, I wasn't tripping about nothing. I mean, unfortunately, we already kind of had a relationship where she created this, where she's like, Hassan, if the girl's with you, you need to afford what you got to afford. If they're with me, they can afford. I'm afford. There's no asking for money. So there was never any me like, hey, let me know. It was
if
not.
If they were with you, you were supposed to.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's her.
So if they were with you, you were supposed to be completely responsible for them. Although it wasn't just you that conceived these children.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
So you did that. How many years, months, days did it take for that whole legal process to?
Well, it took about a good year. It took me a good month and a half to get my girls back. I kept on flying to Texas, and I finally got them on Mother's Day weekend. She said I was a demon, but I was like, I'm a winner. Facts. So,
make a W.
and so once that took place, and then it took about a good year of just going to court, and especially when I say like the whole situation with when they, like, the prosecutors, I don't know this is probably a petty moment, but I don't know the prosecutors of Kansas City because I got on the phone with 2 women, and because the prosecutor told her if you leave with the girls, you will be hit with kidnapping charges. And you know how they always do the Amber Alert. You'll never see women on Amber Alerts at all.
Touche.
And they said they're not gonna do it. They asked me like, well, how did you get the girls in the first place? And I was like, and I told them, they was like, well, what we deemed, we're not gonna go after her for kidnapping. And I was just like, well, if every statute she falls under that, how do you not deem that? She was like, well, why don't you just come in person and talk to me? We're not gonna talk on the phone. No, this was in Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
This is after I got my girls
so they
back.
They didn't deem it that because she's still the child's parent.
Yep, because she's a woman. That's
because
the
she's a
only
woman, though. Because
I was
if
on
it
the
was
phone.
him, it'd be different.
I was on the phone with 2 women.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Like, to be honestly, they did it because she's the child parent. So, and the reason why I say that is because when I was like 5, 6 years old, something like that, my grandmother took us all the way up to Minnesota, to visit our dad. When we got there, we were supposed to be there for the weekend. My grandmother left us. She just left us in Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Man.
So about a week or 2 later, probably even a month later, my mom was trying to get us back. They wouldn't let her get us back because she tried to get us back on the grounds that he kidnapped us.
But they viewed him
And they didn't do anything about the kidnapping anything because they said, well, he's the dad. They asked her, is he the dad of the children? And she said, yes, he's the dad of all 3 of them. So they said, well, he can't kidnap his own kids.
Okay.
So she went through
because there was nothing that said that
it was
he
not,
had
it was
primary
not,
legal
yeah, it was
custody.
nothing in the custody or anything. So they deemed it that he can't kidnap his own kids. So it took her a whole year to go through the legal battle and come up there and get us back. Now, when they did come get us back, they kicked in the door with police, SWAT, all that other stuff.
Yeah,
Got us
'cause
back.
that means
365 days later.
Because at that point, he was supposed to give us back.
And he refused.
And he refused.
Yeah.
He didn't do it. So
Yeah.
when they came to get us back, they came and got us back.
They took
So,
y'all back.
you know. But
I
at
was
that
hoping
point,
they did. My kids might
after
like
going
that.
through the courts and the legal stuff, it was deemed a kidnapping after that point because, you know, it went through all the legal channels. But before then, it's not a kidnapping just because he's the parent. A parent can't kidnap their own child unless there is a actual legal binding custody agreement.
And the crazy part is I found that out the hard way. I went to pick up my son from school, and he wasn't there. And they were like,
that's the worst feeling
his
in the
daddy
world.
picked him up. And I was like, hey. And the lady was like, girl, put down that phone. Do you have custody of your son? And I'm like, yeah, of course. He lives with me. She was like, but do you have custody? And I was like, what? Like, I was 19, 20. I was a very young mother. And I was like, of course, he lives with me. And she was like, no, but you, and I didn't have custody because we never had to get custody. We never went through the courts for anything. So his father was able to pick him up early from school, even though he didn't tell me, and it was still legal. So I couldn't go get my son. I just had to ask for him back. But for somebody who did that behind my back, it wasn't that simple of a process. However, that is a great segue into how you were actually raised because, like I said, in the 90s, you didn't see a lot of single fathers. So I wonder how, with you guys being full-time permanent fathers now, how your childhood affected that, or did it? Did it have any parts on that? Because that's like a story
it most definitely did for me. So for me, growing up, our dad wasn't around, and it wasn't like he wasn't around because he was trying to be around, but he was kept away. It might have been that like a couple of times, but after so much time go by, you kind of start seeing things a little bit differently and realize like, okay, you might have tried a couple of times, but then after that, you gave up at some point. So there was issues where, like early on in my childhood, like it was like, you know, he was around, he would say stuff, you know, make promises, you know, do stuff like that. The whole issue happening with them leaving us in Minneapolis with him and everything, and him trying to keep us at that point. You know, us coming back to Kansas City, him being in and out of prison, you know, pop up here and there and be like, hey, I'm going to do this, do that, and then you don't hear from him again for about 2 years. You know, then it gets to the point where he's back in the city. Your grandmother's like, hey, you know, your dad is here. You talk to your dad or whatever. You go talk to him or whatever and stuff, and it's like, well, shoot, why y'all tell me to go talk to him every time? Like, I'm here just as much as he here. Like, he know I'm here too. Like, he can reach out, he can come talk to me. It ain't that hard, you know what I mean? He lived right next door to my grandmother. If I go over there to visit my grandmother, I go over there to visit her. Like, if I wanted to go visit him, I could step next door. You know, I don't need you to be like, hey, go see your dad. If he want to see me, he know where I'm at.
So at one point, did you realize, and I'm not sure, did your mother, as you were growing up, did your mother tell you bad things about your dad, or you just only knew what you remember?
Well, no, it wasn't that she told me bad things about it, like bad things about him. It was just like stuff you remember. I mean, if you was to say she told me bad things about him, it would be stuff like, he always in and out of jail. He always messing up. He doing stuff he ain't supposed to be doing. Like those type of things.
Things you could prove.
Yeah, stuff that you could prove. So it wasn't like, don't talk to your dad. Because if he called, she gave us the phone. You know what I'm saying? If he tried to come around, she was more than willing to be like, all right. You know what I'm saying? If he would come around and be like, I want to go to the park with him. All right, bye, see y'all.
So she didn't interfere with your relationship with your father. How many siblings did you have?
I had 2 brothers and 1 sister. Now, my sister is the youngest of us, but she had a different dad.
Okay.
So me and my brother shared the same dad, but it wasn't like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that. So as I got older and I started really seeing things for what it was, and putting things together in my own head, it was just like, hey, I'm gonna make sure I'm not that. If I ever have kids, I'm not gonna be that. I'm gonna always be there. I'm always try to make sure I follow through on things I say I'm gonna follow through on. And if I can't, I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can apologize for it. But I can make sure that I'm always there, that I'm there, I'm trying, and I'm guiding you to something. I'm trying to teach you something. That whenever it comes down to it, you can rely on me. So that was my whole thing. I'm like, I'm not gonna be that person that, like, no matter how many obstacles come across, I'm gonna be like, at some point I'm gonna just give up.
But
you know what I'm saying? Because
it gets hard, right?
Because I knew that I had uncles and stuff. So I had father figures, but they're uncles. You know what I'm saying? They're not your it's different to get guidance and stuff from an actual dad than it is to get guidance and stuff from uncles. So yeah, you got father figures. You might have people in the neighborhood and different things like that you got guidance from, and you like, what I'm gonna look at this person like, they're my dad, and I'm gonna really take that to heart. But no matter how much you look at it like that, they're not actually your dad. So deep down inside, there's always gonna be something that's like, man, my own dad don't even really care.
So your primary goal was to ensure that you didn't make your children.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure my kids never felt like that.
And now, Hassan, were you raised with both parents?
No, my dad was incarcerated from 2 to 16.
Okay.
So just like out of all of my friends, like and Maurice, like I'd definitely be envious because I'd be like, shit, at least your dad's around. You know what I mean? Like when your dad's away altogether, and you, like, I probably talked to my dad once in that whole entire time.
You mean when between the ages of 2 and 16 for you?
No, to
or
graduation.
2002 and 2000.
Like my graduating, when I graduated at 18, that's when my dad was out of jail. Basically.
Okay. So you didn't have, now, not saying that being in jail stops you from having a relationship, but you also weren't communicating with them or seeing him.
Communication, no letters, no nothing. Like I had a strong resentment for my father, and it didn't change until I was like close to 30.
Okay.
So mine came off of because my dad was, because I used to be like, man, he ain't here for this, he ain't there for that. Like looking at my sisters, and I'd be like, well, at least they have my mom for this. Like if they choose to do mom and daughter stuff, like they can do that. And I had a stepdad in the house, but and I've learned at a young age, when the person is there for your mom and not you, there's nothing you can do. So they're not going to view you as your child, no matter how much you try to ingratiate yourself with them.
Oh, that's a $5 word.
If it's not, they're not going to do that for you. So I learned that at a young age, and that kind of probably, had me to where I low-key didn't want to mess with a woman with kids, because I'd just be like, I knew how that felt. So I was just like, I didn't want to be fake towards anybody else with women with kids. So, but now being on the other situation, which is another topic, but yeah, I can go everywhere. But with just growing up that way, like what kind of I've always had this idea, if I'm gonna have kids with a woman, I knew if we're not gonna be together, I was gonna have my kids, no matter what. Like, it wasn't no ifs, ands, buts about it. I told my kid's mother this before we, anything. Like, I felt like I was gonna be there, no matter what. Like how Maurice said, like, no matter what, it didn't matter the situation. Um, I needed that.
So both of you came from totally different backgrounds being raised. Because Maurice, did you have a bonus father around?
No, like if you saying bonus
Or
father,
stepdad.
as far as like, no, I didn't have a stepdad. My mom, like, there was guys that my mom was with for long periods of time, but they never got married or anything like that. And so, in a sense, they were kind of like a bonus dad, but or a stepdad or whatever you want to call it, but they wasn't. They were just they were my mom's man. You know what I mean? So
the same thing Hassan said. Like,
Yeah.
when you're there for the significant other, you're not. The kids are just what you're gonna deal with because the kids are there.
And I
not
mean,
that
but they did stuff for us. It ain't like they were just kind of like, what I'm saying, like, I'm here, I'm only here. But, they try to show me things. They try to, teach us things and stuff. But I got a lot more of that stuff from my uncles.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's just the way it was.
Okay. So, two different backgrounds, some similarities. At the end of the day, the absence of a father made you have a commitment to want to be a better father.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got two different situations because essentially you're children's mother, and then Hassan has two daughters. So that takes this to a whole nother level because, women are crazy. No cap.
And all.
But your daughter's mother actually said, you know what? I kind of want to live my life. And I don't know if she understood what she told you, that you took that shit and ran with it. Did she really understand? Did she give you pushback when all this was happening? I guess she did because she took the kids.
Well, she did after, I really think, like, after, like, her parents, her mom kind of probably said something, because at one point she was going to put me, when my youngest, she's just now 10, my oldest is 10, when she was a baby, her mom actually told her, put me on child support because you don't know if I'm going to be a father or not. We're living together.
You're taking care of
I'm
your
doing
children.
everything, like everything. And she was telling this, but now somehow my kid's mother's like, oh, I don't remember that. I do.
Yeah,
But
of course.
like, and that was like the bad, that was crazy.
So
That
she
was
had
crazy.
people that were, although they were family again,
Yeah.
which is why I said supportive family, they were fostering the thoughts that she had, and essentially it was negativity.
Yeah. Scare tactics.
What age were you? Because at this point it seems pretty influential, if those were working.
Well, I would say let's see, we're 9 years apart. 6. So she didn't have kids when we met. I was like in my later 20s. She was in her early 20s.
Okay.
And and I saw it, and I was like,
You saw the flag red.
yeah, but yeah, shout out to David. He definitely, we had a conversation. Me and my cousin.
Who's
Heidi.
David?
That's my brother-in-law. Like, we had a conversation, and
we often ignore red flags, men and women. It's
You
just
know what I
what
mean?
it is.
Hey, I understand, because we are all in our part when we try to make it turn a new leaf. Because when I met her, I was like, hey, I'm gonna be different, and I tried to be different, and I was like, I'm gonna help her out because I seen where her shortcomings was, but I should have just been paying attention. Sometimes people can play damsel in distress, and they're not distressed at all.
They're just damsels.
They're fucking right. Like, they're just, that's them. Like, they just fucking, they all.
So you got you got a lawyer. After about a year, you got the girls. You're in Kansas City. You have full custody of your girls. How many years ago was this?
Let's see. Because this all kind of happened fast. Last year.
2023.
Yeah, actually like 2021. Going 21, 22, and it was literally finalized in 23.
So 2 daughters under the age of 10
Yeah.
is when you started with this.
Yes.
So parenting two daughters under the age of 10 as a man. What the fuck? How do that work?
It's rough because I say it's rough because when women raise kids, no one question them. We of course we hear like a woman can't raise a man or anything like that,
right.
but no one questions like, oh, can she do it? Like
It's
people
assumed that women are
they just gonna do it. Right. You know what I mean? Like as a man, like people be like, oh, well, you may need help. You may need this. You may need that. Help? No, because like I was raised with two sisters. Like I painted toenails as a kid. Like I've done I was between two sisters of 2 years older than 1 year younger. So like I'm the little brother, big brother. So it's like with two girls, like with having them, I definitely say like they helped me change a lot. As a man, because I really wanted to be everything. So I didn't want to be a hypocrite at the end of the day. And I understood if I would have continued to be in who the early 20s Hassan was, I couldn't help them to be like, this and that. Like,
who was
so,
he?
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm asking, who was the early 20s
who was that?
Hassan?
Man, I'll tell you whatever you wanted to hear whenever you wanted to hear it. You know what I mean? Like I look into
you were a walking red flag.
I look in your eyes and tell you exactly.
I gaze into
you
your
know what
eyes.
I mean? Like but I wouldn't give them false hopes. I don't believe in be like I'm gonna do this for you and that because that's what I don't do now.
So you were honest.
Yeah, but I tell you like I love you in a minute.
Nigga just lied again.
Yeah,
he lied about lying.
But I wouldn't
hold up, Hanson.
In a sense of
can we straighten this out though? How can you tell someone any and everything they want to hear, but not give them false hope?
Well, like because
I'm just having trouble understanding that.
You can kind of get away with telling women because I will say
be careful because the women are watching.
You know what I mean? Like, and this is the old me. This is the old me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like growing up with between two girls, I've learned how to maneuver around women, how to conversate, how to talk to them.
Shout out to Sabir and Tahir that turned this monster into a monster.
Yeah. And again, because from someone taught me, it was like ask for everything and get nothing in return. I'm not saying who taught me that, but that was from a woman. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't do that. You know what I mean?
Anymore.
But no, I don't do that at all. But overall, like what I was I would tell a woman that I loved you and I didn't. You know what I mean? Because I understood the power of just those simple words. Right. Like I didn't have to be like, I'm going to give you money, do all this. That wasn't me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to tell you I'm going to do everything for you. But if you wanted a sincere conversation, I'll give you that. If you wanted to go outside the box, I'll give you that.
That woman probably didn't have her father around when she was
But you know what? I learned from my daughters, I can treat all women as little girls and get away with it. And understand that all women do want to be treated even though they, you'll get someone be like, oh, I'm grown, I'm this and that. But tell me a woman that you wouldn't want to, you can just caress, just like a little girl, just hold their hair and just sit there and talk to them, ask them about the little things comes from when they were little girls that they feel like they haven't been heard or this and that. You can do that to all women.
So if being a full-time father gave you a different perspective on how to treat girls and women, because your daughters will eventually grow up to be women.
Yes.
And the behavior that you had exuded prior to having them, or maybe in the early years of having them, kind of was looking at you in your face.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want them to ever, at that Hassan, ever meet that type of person. Because then they're going to fall in love with someone that's ultimately not there.
Because they were telling them they loved them. And
really whatever. But
and
then,
you would have to be rubbing their back and trying not to beat up somebody who was just like you.
And I would. So I'm not trying to be that way. So I ultimately was like, yo, Hassan, you have to change. And one thing I will say, my friends be like, oh, Hassan, you over there being desert, because I choose not to, spread around like I used to. Like, I would definitely say I was a community service activist. You know what I mean? Like, I was serving the community.
What was you giving the community, Hassan?
Hey, I'm serving them 2 legs at a time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out there. But I chose like that's not gonna get you nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, hey, they like the girth, so it's just like it is what it is.
Size does matter,
know what I
women.
mean?
He's just
Facts.
trying to get his DMs to pop.
Nope,
Y'all
I don't want
hit.
y'all to be in my DMs. Don't do it. Because as you see, my daughters call me all the time.
Oh, y'all
like,
missed it. She just called right
I
before
can't
we
go
started.
anywhere. I can't go anywhere. So, but I feel like that's a pleasure because, like, now being in this space, like, I can see, like I truly feel like I have the opportunity to raise the next better version. Like, the black woman now is incredible, you know, as yourself. But, you know, like, to be able to have one that's like, yo, I know who I am out the gate. No questions, no nothing,
To pour into them and give them the
Exactly.
confidence and
No
the self-esteem
questions.
and the compliments and
that's what I'm
that
creating.
they need to be comfortable, because a lot of the times we do the things we do or don't do the things we do because we lack things.
Yeah.
We lack emotional availability. We lack people believing in us. And when we do that, although we don't always understand it's happening, it affects our actions, what we do, who we do, when we do them, how often we do them, and then the blinders we have to all the fucking red flags that be falling out the goddamn sky. Two girls, and 2 boys.
Yeah.
You've gotten 1 daughter through high school. Goals, hashtag goals. You are a long way away, brother. You getting there, but you a
Afraid.
long way away.
Afraid.
What obstacles and challenges? So you were married to their mother. All 4 children have the same mother. Okay.
Yes.
You were married, and Hassan the same. So both of his daughters have the same mother as well. So you were married to their mother. You guys decided to split up. You came back here. You had the kids. Did you receive pushback?
Pushback as far as the kids being with her? No, I didn't receive any pushback initially. I didn't get pushback as far as the kids being with her until she got to a point in her life where she felt like she can handle taking care of them. So when we first split up, she was at a point where she was kind of struggling, and in that struggle, she kind of did a lot of things that, you know, she probably not proud of and that I didn't like and different things like that. But you know, even going through that, it was just like ways I try to get her to communicate with the kids that wasn't happening for real. But then she got to a point where she was more comfortable after some time went by. And then she got to the point where she was like, I'm really comfortable. I want the kids. So
Originally you said you guys were separating, you were moving, and you just took them. You know, they just came with you. But it sounded like, you know,
we wasn't really separating like it wasn't hey, we're gonna separate and I'm coming back to Kansas City. We had some fuck shit happen.
Oh, so you both were gonna move back up here?
We both wasn't gonna move back up here. So with the place we were living in and the landlord and stuff, we just had some fuck shit happen. What was originally supposed to happen was I was supposed to come back to Kansas City with the kids for a little bit while she was gonna stay down there, get some stuff together, get another place, and I was gonna come back.
Gotcha.
But in the midst of all that, a whole bunch of other fuck shit happened.
So shit was just happening everywhere.
Yeah, so it got to the point where it was like, I'm not coming back down there. Okay. So, you know, we started having those conversations. You're not coming back, you know, you sure, you know, we should be together, all this. Like, no, I'm not coming back. You should come back up here. And we can work on stuff that way. So it was like, nah, you know, I don't want to live in Kansas City. I'm not coming back. So we both stood our grounds on, I'm not coming down there and you not coming back up here. So then it got to the point where it was like, all right, then what we doing?
And you had the kids.
Yeah.
So, okay, so to the court system or whoever needed to make a decision, they had been with you.
Yes. And
so let's just keep them with you. But coincidentally, you said she wasn't quite ready anyway. So.
She wasn't ready. Well, at that time she was. So you got to remember this is like a 4-year span.
Oh, okay.
So
it's wild.
like that first year, it was a big struggle. Gotcha. Like, you know, after that first year, she was, you know, kind of back on her feet. Some things was kind of working out, but it still wasn't like I'm in a position where I want them back. It wasn't until about almost 3 years in where she was in a position where she was like, I want them back.
Because she was single. She was then essentially living a single life, having to take care of everything on her own.
She was living a single life, you know, I guess however you want to say it, takes care of stuff on her own, or just being out there, just enjoying her life. Or however, whoever looking at it from whatever point of view you're looking at it from. I can't say what it actually was. Right. I just know that it was whatever it was. You know what I mean? So, and then that's just what it was. So when it came to the point where it was like, all right, we're not gonna go along with this marriage. We're not gonna finish this marriage out. It's like, you know, you don't want this marriage or whatever the case may be. Because I wasn't saying I don't want the marriage.
You just said you didn't want to move back down there.
I was just saying I don't want to be back down there. And so she was like, no, just, you know, let's get a divorce. And I'm like, well, if you want a divorce, then you file for it. So, you know, it got to that point. But after all that stuff happened, you know, we went through the divorce process and stuff. And while we were going through the divorce process, that's when she was at the point where she was able to, I felt like she was able to take care of the kids financially in any other way that she needed to take care of them. So she was more comfortable with trying to fight for them at that point.
But then it was a little too late.
So, yeah, and that's the way the courts looked at it, like, you know, nah.
He's been doing this all this time.
You know, no situation is better than the other, and there's no reason for us to say, yeah, send them down there. So it's like, we're not gonna change a stable situation because you want it.
Okay.
So that's what that was.
So you didn't have the same issue with Hassan as far as having to, did you have to pay for a lawyer?
Yeah, I had to pay for a lawyer and everything. I still had to go to court and fight and all that stuff. So
was it as expensive?
No, it wasn't as expensive. It wasn't as expensive because going through the process, she just kind of conceived to some things because she kind of realized it probably wasn't going to work out the way she wanted it to.
So that was a blessing.
So instead of us continually fighting and more money after more money after more money after more money, was just like, okay, let's just get it done and over with, and then we can figure out something later.
Okay.
Which, you know, that's what it is.
So, two different situations. You didn't, it sound like you didn't have to fight as hard.
Not as hard.
Not saying that it was any easier, but as far as just getting the children to you and in a legal way, having them be with you on paper, because that's important. Like the legalities of things when you're dating someone and you have children, or when you're married to someone. A lot of us don't understand. And in our community, I feel like it's always a lot of baby mom, baby dad situations. You know, people get married, but like I got married to my husband. We have 7 kids together, but none biologically. So we have a blended family. And that's the way of today. It's going to be a blended family most likely, unless you find a unicorn who ain't had no kids, but something probably wrong with them too. So you have the children full time. Their mother, did she move here, or is she still out of town?
She's still in Texas.
Okay, so do you guys have anything as far as your custody agreement, or the as far that says she's there with you a certain amount of time there? Do they still spend time with their mom? Do they talk to their mom? Like,
they talk to her. The good thing, my youngest just turned 10 on November 19th, and that was the first time she got to see her within a year. So that was, you know, good for her, because that's all she wanted for her birthday. She was like, Daddy, I don't want anything, just my mom to come. So I was happy that she came, just for that, you know, just really for that. But prior to that, she does have things she has required things that she has to do before the girls can go down to Texas.
Okay, so it's not as simple as just being in their lives.
No, okay. No, and that's I'm not gonna lie, that's from my design, because once you kind of show me certain things, and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna play with you. I'm gonna make it hard for you, and I'm not gonna.
But you're not making it hard for her because you're being a fucking asshole. You're looking out for your children.
Exactly, the bigger picture.
You're protecting your daughters.
Yes.
So whatever that case may be, no details are necessary. Nope. But essentially, you said that these are the requirements that have to happen before I'm comfortable enough to say, "Hey, guys, go ahead and
there and do anything."
However, at the same time, there's nothing in place that stops her from being able to come here, spend time with them, and see them. Or is there?
It is.
Okay,
She
okay,
can't. She unfortunately she can't do that. She has to do supervised supervision.
Okay, but there's nothing that stops her from doing that.
No, yeah, no.
Okay.
She can do that whenever.
So you're not
she
stopping
chooses
her
to.
from spending time
No,
with her children.
no,
So she
no.
voluntarily is able to do that whenever
Yeah,
she.
it's just on her when she wants to do it.
So this is y'all listen. First of all, I don't have a coochie no more. So I got a hysterectomy several years ago, right? But anytime I should have a cycle, I get a cycle, which is now. So I'm being totally transparent. Way TMDI. I get it.
Check out the red.
I'm bleeding, but I'm not bleeding, goddammit. But I'm emotional today, guys. And this is really hitting hard because although I was raised with my father in the home, I raised my children with the fathers outside of the home. And what Hassan just said, like, hit a nerve with me. Like, all his daughter wanted for her birthday was to see her mother. You know what I'm saying? And most times in our community, that's flipped. Like, I mean, I love my black men. They know I love them. But a lot of times it's the complete opposite. Yeah. And for a man to be going through something that women constantly go through, I'm not excited about it. I'm not happy. It's actually really very sad because we have two men here talking about the fact that they're not going to let anything get in the way of them being fathers, which is very admirable. On the flip side, I know that there's a lot of things that can get in the way of men being fathers. And that time where you said you're not going to give up, I've been a witness to how, damn it, giving up sounds real fucked up, but I understand why men give up. They are constantly faced with these struggles and these obstacles. Like, you know, she said, you know, I'm not ready to raise these kids. A lot of black women don't want to say that. Yeah. Because of fear of what people will think or say. But that's commendable to say, I'm not ready to raise these children. And although we don't often see these black men raising these children on their own, ain't nothing wrong with it. This is something that is not fucking easy. And the level of uncomfortability and difficulty, I know because I've raised children on my own. I don't wish that shit on nobody. I wish everybody could have both parents in their home, and sometimes it's not biological parents. I have 5 children that don't belong to me biologically, and I love them to death, and they know that. Blood don't mean shit. But it's fucked up that our men have to go through the same thing that our women do, and just that people have children and they're not ready for them. You know what I'm saying? Because the ultimate thing is the children are affected. Like, you can look out for your children, you want to protect your children, but you can't always do that. Yeah. And eventually they'll figure out things maybe you tried to hide from them on their own, because we get older and we figure out that there were other reasons that things didn't happen the way maybe other children experience parenthood. So essentially, you are the primary caregiver. You sound like you have a supportive family that helps you do that. But these are still 2 little girls, whether you have siblings or not. Yeah. How does that work when you are trying to raise these little girls? Like you said, usually I say men can't raise women. I can attest. I have a biological 15 and 21-year-old, so I did it without the constant presence of a man, so I know it's possible. Same way I know a man can raise a woman. Yeah. Because you don't have to know, I don't have to know what a man went through to know what a man is and who a man is. You don't have to know that a woman gets her period to know that your daughters have these needs that are outside of yours and that you have to learn about and help them get through. How does that affect dating, or does it?
It affects it a lot, because I am a person that tries to be very mindful of who I meet, how I allow to meet my daughters. So I can probably say there's not too many people that meet my daughters at all. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, I'm not going to, you know, and I've had females be like, oh, we can do a family thing and do that, and I'll be like, no. You know what I mean? Because, like, I know, unfortunately, if I just, That's not bad.
They
But I
not the
just-
person that needs to
Exactly.
meet your daughter.
They're-
I got you.
exactly. You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out how to say what I need to say it.
Yeah.
But
He's not for the streets no more, I promise.
But-
But,
but
what
I
he's
also
saying
think-
is everybody ain't worthy.
you
But
know
I
what I
also
mean?
think
Like,
it's not just the fact that they might not be the person that need to meet his daughter. I also think that also come with the man and who they are and what their integrity is, and different things like that. Like some men are out here that really don't know how to be a man, and they might be in a situation where they have their kids, and they probably got all kind of women coming through the house
In and out.
because they just don't know how to be a man, and they don't know how to actually raise their kid. They just still trying to go on about their life. I think the difference here is that you got two men here that have, I wouldn't say absolutely know how it is to what it is to be a man, but we have a good sense of what it is to be a man, and we have a good sense of what it is to raise kids, and so we kind of know things that we want and things that we don't want. So we took the time to deal with different women and decide that, hey, I don't want my kids to see a revolving door, because if my kids see a revolving door, they think this is the way life is.
And they may
so now
create
they
the
might
same
think,
thing.
hey,
Yeah.
when I'm dealing with relationships and stuff, it's
It's
a
fine,
revolving
that's
door. It's okay that these people are in and out like this. It's okay that I'm dealing with another person every other month or every other week or whatever the case may be, which, you know, you don't want to show that, because what you show is just as important as what you're telling them.
Right.
So for me, it was just like, I'm not about to have people, you know, boom, boom, boom. So, you know, that whole time I was separated and going through the divorce, like, I spent like 2.5 years not dealing with anybody. And a lot of people were like, dang, you just been abstinent for 2.5 years? Like, you ain't doing nothing. I'm like, I ain't doing nothing. So,
Oh,
and
so
then,
you okay, so not 2.5 years, not dating, not in a relationship, but you actually abstained.
yeah.
Okay.
So, and then it was like, you know, you start dealing with people. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're a strong
rough,
man,
rough.
brother.
Ain't
You're
it?
a strong
I know,
man.
right? So then you start dealing with people, and even when it got to the point where I started dealing with people, I was still selective about that. It was just like, you know, and then the one I'm dealing with now, like
Dealing with
Yeah, that's a horrible
the
word.
woman. I'm in a
you're
relationship.
dating,
So,
yes. Okay.
but anyway, so the woman I'm with now, we it's been what, 3 years or something since we met. She just met my kids this year.
when we found out about her, she met the kids.
Yeah. When everybody found out about her, she had met the kids before y'all kind of
Right,
found
right,
out
right.
about her. But yeah, she didn't meet my kids till this calendar year. You know what I'm saying? She's always known about my kids. She, you know, like heard them over the phone talking
Right.
and stuff like that. But she's never physically laid eyes on my kids and met my kids until now.
Do you know how unique that is?
No, I don't
Okay.
care.
No.
No. But to piggyback on what Hassan was talking about, one of his bitches said we can have a family day.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of women are like
Fast.
ready.
But in the
Right.
same token,
Your
some
kids,
guys
my
will just
kids,
be
we
like,
all got
yeah,
kids,
too,
Brady
because they
Bunch.
just want to please the woman.
Exactly.
Because they you know,
I don't
they,
give a
for
shit
whatever
about that.
reason they want to please her. But in
women are
most cases,
nurturers.
it's just because you know
Yeah.
they want to make
Not
sure they
all.
can get in the bed later.
Yeah,
on.
no,
Like,
women are
so-
nurturers. On the flip side, I've seen women, you know, go in and out of my children's life because of their father or whatever. And women will be like, hey, I babysat your kid while you know, so I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
want you
yeah.
to know, in case you didn't, that's not normal. That's not normal that you have integrity and want to not show that. On the flip side, though, it's reality. So it's fucked up because you abstained from something that could have brought you joy based on essentially being scared that it was going to be an issue for your children and how they were raised. When in reality, I mean, we're in Kansas City. There's piss in the fucking dating pool, and I'm
Yeah, yeah,
married,
yeah.
and I know it, and I know it. Me and my husband know it's piss in the fucking dating pool. But it's that whole in and out thing. I think that's how we were raised. Like, oh, this is Uncle so and so. This is your mom, little friend, or whatever. But it's difficult to date and have children and not expect your children to meet the people you're dating, even in that process of getting to know someone. Because how do you get to know them? You gotta see them. You gotta so. How do you manage dating or not for the purpose of dating? We got two different people here, y'all. This is.
But see, I don't know how most people look at like dating and relationships. Like I look at dating as dating. Like you just going out having a good time with people, but y'all not in no relationship. Y'all just.
Did you desire another committed relationship?
No, I didn't really. Not until this point last year.
And is that when you made a change with the woman that you were dating, or was it that simple?
Well, no, I was dating other people too, but it was like everyone has an understanding that like we're not together, we just dating. But I wasn't like always out with people.
Because you were single, so you were dating.
I was still worried about my kids more than anything. So it wasn't like I was just like out all the time. I was just, you know what I'm saying. But it took time, like, you know, to get to a point. I got to a point where I was just like, people ask me all the time, man, when you gonna get another relationship? When you gonna get another? I'm like, man, the hell with a relationship. Man, I ain't worried about no relationship. I ain't never getting no relationship. And I know a lot of my friends heard me say that all the time, but I'm like, I ain't doing it. But like around November, he did it. Yeah. So around November, December last year, it got to a point where I was like, you know what, man, I'm kind of tired of this.
What part were you tired of?
Not having someone to share something with. So, you know, I was just like, you know, I'm kind of tired of all the other stuff. It was just having, you know, I've been in a long-term relationship forever. So not having someone actually in the house, in your bed, sharing stuff with, you know, being vulnerable with, is like, after a while, it was just like, I'm not really used to this. Like, it was cool. I was working on myself. I was making sure my kids were straight, all that other stuff. But I need somebody else at this point. So,
high five. To say that you need, because we all, I don't give a fuck. You can ask this one too, because we for the streets. But everybody needs something, whatever the case may be. Like, and to desire an intimate relationship is not bad. Like, it's something we all want to share something with people, whether it be our kids. Some people just want to share shit with their kids, but to have a partner that you can share those things with, ain't nothing wrong, ain't nothing weak about that. Like, it's just something that some way where some people are set up that way. They're gonna have people coming in and out just to have somebody there. Some people will have integrity and wait. I don't know how much integrity I had when I was single, because I mean, we have needs, we're people. Like, so do you desire? Have you been married?
No.
Never
almost. Claim close. I almost married my kid's mother.
Okay. That didn't happen.
Yep, that didn't happen.
For reasons that
well, really, ultimately she wasn't ready. Like, even though I proposed and she said yes, I don't think that she was just mentally ready for that step.
And that wasn't supposed to happen that way. That's why it didn't happen.
Yeah, and I you know, and I understand. I appreciate her for it. Like, dead ass.
Like, that's when you start paying attention to them red flags.
Yeah, man. But I do, like, because unfortunately, like me, I've been single longer than I've been in a relationship. Like, I've only been in 2 solid relationships, and the first one was 4 years, and the second one was with my kid's mother, which was 7. And if you take that, I'm 39 now. Like, that's not that long of a time. So majority of my 20s, I was single. You know, so like, and now being single, just adding on top of it, like, I do feel like, you know, like, I want to, you know, be in that situation.
Look into the camera, Hassan.
Oh, yeah, because I'm looking up there, like, because I'm like, looking at the
tell them what you want, because if we have any woman that's interested in
hey, I like them natural, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want any.
Wait,
like,
which natural? Hair natural,
like,
nails natural,
like,
face natural, ass natural?
Just a natural individual. You know what I mean? Like, God made you a woman. You know those. So those ones I like. You know what I mean? Don't hit me with no pronouns. None of those.
Crew is about to come for me.
Jokes. But, you know, just ultimately,
the
like,
views and opinions of my guests are not those.
Yeah, not of hers. Not of hers. You know what I mean? Not of hers. You know, but just ultimately, you know, I know, because my joke, like, my daughter hit me with a joke yesterday, because because they told me about, like, Sabrina, which is my sister. She was like, yeah, I'm going to a couples thing. And my youngest one, which is, she's 7, and she's like, Daddy, are you going? And my oldest is 10. She's like, it's a couples thing. You gotta have a couple.
When we was talking earlier, I was like, maybe one day you'll be, but I didn't want to say that.
It's okay. I'm okay with being left out. Like, I understand that you gotta have a +1 to go to these events.
We'll have singles events too.
Married people with
go get
single
you-
events
go
are
get you a
weird. That's
+1,
weird.
man.
Who
So
does
it
that? You know what I mean?
It would have been hilarious to have you there, man.
Oh,
Who does that?
Lord.
But I definitely want to, but I definitely feel like
Yeah, get on Tinder for the next one.
Nah, I'm not getting on Tinder because it's a bunch of niggas on them motherfuckers. I don't fuck with those.
Black, BLA,
Man, I don't know.
Tammy, I've been on Tammy.
For some odd reason, it's like I don't know if it's because I'm 39. It's like a lot of women that's like in their 50s want to holler, and I'd be like, that's
MILF status. You need a cougar in your life. What is wrong with you?
But I mean, like if they got it.
They got it. You got it. They got it. You got it.
No, I'm talking about they gotta have it. Like for me to be even, you know what I mean? Like come on with it. But just for jokes, and now you know what I mean. But just overall, I definitely want someone, because I do see like a lot of people around me. All my siblings are married. Majority of my friends, they stay in relationships, so I do see the benefit. Being single for this long, like I don't think that. After a while, no one should really want to be single after a certain amount of time because then you just learn how to deal with yourself. And if you're only dealing with yourself, then you're going to always think it's someone else, that everybody has these issues, but it is really you not willing to deal with anybody else. So I understand that, and being in my situation, like I would want, because I don't want my daughters to think that it's okay to just always be single, because that shit, it gets boring. Like you do want to spend time with people. Do I want to spend time with the right person? Absolutely. Yeah. But just overall, but I told myself at 40, that's why I'm going to take it serious and get a relationship.
But, I mean, unfortunately, just sorry to break it to you, when you take the shit serious, it don't move no faster. Like,
no.
It don't move faster if you're doing it the right way. It can move fast if you just run around there.
It's different.
And then you're gonna be in a whole bunch of situations you don't want to be in. You're gonna be like, man, what the fuck?
Don't be trying to come see us at RNA accessories for your ammunition needs.
Yeah.
But I would say it's different for men and women, because I will say I don't know what it's like being a man, and I understand what women may have to deal with when it comes to the bullshit. It's going to be easier for me to kind of find a better quality woman that's like just chilling, because I like anime, I like all that shit.
She's a nerd, lady.
So she has to be cool with that, and I like playing video games. So hopefully,
she's a kid, ladies.
Exactly, a kid at heart. And I'll tell anybody, remember, those are the best kind, because then you remember what it's like to be a kid. So
I always say just let relationships happen naturally, man. I always
organically.
Just say, that's the right word. That's the word I really want. Yeah, just start kicking it with somebody, and then eventually it'll be like, hey. We supposed to be on the next level.
So is that what happened with you? You went from abstaining, you were dating a few people, you found somebody, and
after a while you just be like, you start looking at what's going on between you and the different people that you with and that you're dealing with, or whatever the case may be, and you start really growing feelings towards people.
But how'd you pick? Like, I'm not saying you was a whore or nothing, but when you're single, you date. So you're dating multiple people. You end up with one.
Well,
did
that's what I'm
everybody
saying.
fall
So it's
off?
like,
Did they leave, or did you say, okay, this is the person I could really see this working with? Like, how did it happen?
Yeah. Unfortunately, everybody else just kind of fell off. So
because they weren't supposed to be there, so they fell off.
So it was just like, cause
we're not gonna say that they fell off and she was the last choice.
No. It like, cause I'm an introvert, right? So, like, I don't do a lot of stuff. Like, I don't like going out. I don't like none of that stuff, partying, all that stuff. I just kind of keep kicking to myself and whatever. I might go out and chill at my homeboy's house or something every once in a while and kick the shit with them. But for the most part, I'm cool being at home.
You ain't in
all
these
the time.
Streets, like
right. So
somebody
and I can go a while without talking to you. Like I don't like reach out to people like all the time. So like
you sound like
a lot of
people.
A lot of people probably feel like there's people out there that probably just feel like, oh, this motherfucker just ghost me, which is essentially what it is. But it's like it wasn't on purpose.
Coast
It's
to
just I
coast.
don't reach
That's
out.
just
Like
your nature.
I'm not used to having to call someone. I feel like I'm begging you to be in my life if I got to call you every day and stuff. But I don't expect people to call me every day either. So like after a while, it just kind of worked out
They
that
fell
you know
off.
it just kind of worked out that this is where I'm supposed to be.
She
You know
was
what I mean?
persistent.
And I
She was
like
I'm gonna
her.
be there.
Not that my opinion matters, but
Yeah.
we're pulling him out of his shell. I had to pull my husband out of his shell because he's a fucking
And ain't no
introvert, too.
shell. That's just what we are.
Bringing you outside to talk to people because
man.
people are on the earth.
Man, fuck these people, man.
Fuck these kids. You talking about fuck y'all all these fucking
People,
kids.
like I mean, I just never been like I never been like I need people. Like I have a good solid core group of friends that's been my friends since middle school. You know what I mean?
Same here.
And I tell my kids all the time,
Elementary.
like, hey, I point out stuff that happened between them and their friends. I'm like, hey, man, you might not want to kick it with that person no more because that never happened with me and my friends. I never
They
been in no
don't listen
situation
to
like that
us.
where, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, we
homies.
never had no type of situations like the way my kids be having situations with their friends. And I'm like, them the type of people that'll snake you, man. Like,
Because
watch
it's
out.
drama and it's
Yeah, so
messy.
it's like, you know what I mean? But the people that did do stuff like that when I was younger, I don't fuck with them.
They done fell
So-
off. But that's
what
also
I'm saying?
unique. So I want you to know you're just like a unicorn, Maurice, because a lot of people have a lot of issues with people. They have a lot of issues with relationships. They gonna fuck with who they want to fuck with, whether they got kids at home or not. Because essentially, you had to go from being and I'm not even gonna say you weren't even a part-time father because you were married, so you were in the home. But then you went from being in the home with a helpmate to being in the home on your own. So I know that's definitely has to be. That's an accommodation, and it sounds like you chose your kids. You chose
Yeah,
to focus
definitely.
on your children, and that whatever relationship you possibly a desire had to take the back burner.
Definitely.
And,
Like-
and now you're in a situation where you are with someone that you care for that doesn't have any kids.
Mm-hmm.
She's the fucking unicorn. Shout out to you, bitch. She don't have no kids. You got 4.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like it just now. On the other hand.
Man, so question, like when that situation, like I had 2 questions for you, Maurice. The first one, since you were able to be raised, like, you know, being told like, hey, go speak to your father, and now like roles were reversed.
No, it wasn't actually go speak to your
No,
father.
not
It
like
was-
that. But like, you know, like we
Yeah,
just
it
like,
was
hey,
just-
go see how he doing, go
Right.
talk to him.
Oh,
like
yeah,
the little
yeah.
things.
Certain-
You know what I mean?
certain
Just to
people would do
get you to
that,
push
yeah.
you to go talk. Now, was it the same way with your mother, like with the kid's mother? Did you tell them like, hey, go talk, call her, do this, you should talk to your mama if she calls?
Only through that first year of our separation. After that, everything is fine. Like right now, they talk to each other every day. Like it's like they got a great relationship. Like they talk to each other every day, FaceTime, all that type of stuff. They go see her when they supposed to. They leave on the 20th to go down there for winter break. They'll be back down there for spring break, back for the summer, all that type of stuff.
Has it always been like that you guys had a schedule and it happened
No.
like this
So it ain't always been like that. Like we tried to make sure that she seen them. So whenever we was able to, you know, if she came up to see them or whatever, or if we was able to if I was able to get them down there, or if she was able to get them down there, they went down there. But it was nothing like set in stone. So
Okay.
once we went through the divorce, it was like, hey, these are your times. So no matter what's going on, we got to make sure they get there these times. Like
Right,
it's,
and
it's-
which is not, I mean, you're talking about 4 children.
Yeah.
Atlanta from Kansas City is at least 20 hours. Was it Atlanta?
Yeah, it's Atlanta. It's 11 hours.
But 11,
Yeah.
so it's not a short drive. It's not
Yeah.
a cheap trip.
Yeah.
It's difficult to try to make sure that you got 4 kids going back and forth, but y'all made it work.
Yeah.
You not
Yeah,
quite.
and it wasn't
not there.
always that easy though either. But it was like, you know what I'm saying, it was bumps and bruises, like the game of life.
What
Yeah,
happened
you know
with
what I'm
so we know that mostly women are single and raising children on their own. We know how the child support system works. Do you guys have to fight that, or do you participate in it? Do you solely finance the children on your own? How does that work?
At first I didn't want child support, and my sisters and everybody was like, nigga, you stupid, you should just definitely do.
I love his sisters.
and at first, like, I didn't, but when she took the girls, that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna go for child support. And initially they wanted her to pay $800, and I felt bad because I was like, that's a lot.
It's too
That's
much money.
that's too
You
much.
thought it was a lot?
Yeah, that's a
Oh,
lot.
shit.
And I was just like, because even though like we had conversations about it, she said she would never put me on child support, but it's like she said there was a lot of never things, and it's like I experienced them. So I didn't really believe when we had those conversations. But so I told him, I was like, yo, I'll do 500. I was like, 500, that ain't shit. I'm like, that's, people can do $500. I was like, I'm not gonna.
For 2 children.
See, I
For
didn't
two.
think that was a lot because, and I base it off of people I know that pay child support. Like
Dead
I know
ass,
people
15,
with one kid
13.
that they are, they
Out
up
the
The
there.
way
ass.
they come up with that equation, of course, when you involve the courts, they come up with the shit. It's an equation. It's a fucking spreadsheet.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
says
it most
this
definitely
person
is.
makes this money. These are the requirements the child needs. So generally, 800 is only because of based her income. Based on her income, they think that she can afford to pay this.
Exactly.
And for Kansas City, I don't know about anybody else, but they can take up to 50% of your income. Now, on the flip side, because I'm with you, at one point when one of my son's fathers had to pay $900, I cringed. I'm like, that's a lot of money. And I even gave him back money every month, like deposited an extra $300 in his account monthly because I did think that was a lot. On the flip side, before I could be with a man who has to be on child support and realize when you take $800 from somebody's pay,
It's a significant
and
amount.
and rent is how much, and mortgage and bills,
Yeah.
like that is which is why I never chose to do child support until I felt like I just had no choice. Did you ever have to do that? Go that route?
I did like I think we were separated for almost 2 years before I went, because like we had an agreement that we were going to split everything down the middle, and that agreement wasn't being met.
Right.
So I felt like the only way to get my half
You had no
was
choice.
to go
Force
and
the
say,
hand.
hey, and so that's why I went that route. And then that was put into place, and then we went through the divorce, and then they changed that amount based off of agreement we came up with.
Okay, so after that, did it work?
Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of times, whether you can put somebody on child support, they don't have to pay the money. I don't know if everybody understands that, but if your amount isn't getting garnished, if they're not voluntarily paying it, and it can affect things like, I think if you owe a certain amount, you can just get taken to jail. Like, it's a certain amount of money in the state of Missouri. You cannot be able to get a passport. If you go to jail, I believe they can take money off your books to go to child support. It can affect a home loan. It's just a lot of things that are affected by child support. And normally we see the men affected, but the women can go through the same thing. You have these children you're supposed to financially support, and if you don't do that, here are the consequences and repercussions. Have you guys, as far as you got custody of your kids, y'all raising your kids, you done got one graduated, one out the door, and then you got 2 more left graduate. You far from graduation, honey. You ain't even close. But in doing that, and then having these interactions and these communications with these women you guys were once married to, in a relationship with, how does the co-parenting work on the opposite end? So now they're having to essentially, I'm sure, do most of the reaching out to the children. Are you able to effectively communicate with those women? Do you need to? Is it required?
No, I don't. I'm not required to have conversations with her at all. And low-key, I choose not to, because I can find myself, when we're having conversations and she likes to kind of like talk like, oh, everything is cool and this and that, and I won't say, and she likes to call me bitter, and I won't say that I'm bitter. I'm a person that, if you don't apologize, it's still, I'm gonna have an energy for you.
Grudge. Yeah,
like you gotta apologize, and because I feel like that's the smallest insignificant thing a human can do, but it can mean so much sense. And it doesn't even matter, like, because I'm about accountability. And as soon as she starts talking to me and we're like, I sense there's no accountability, I get off the phone, because I'll just be like, I'm ready to cuss you out. And
so those emotions are still attached, because essentially what's happening now, you being a full-time parent, and I'm not trying to twist words, but you're a full-time parent and you're doing that because you're a full-time parent.
Yeah,
You
when
know
you
what I'm
got-
saying? If there was another parent to help you to do that, you wouldn't be a full-time parent.
Mm-mm.
So there is resentment sometimes associated
facts.
with those feelings, and when another parent wants to give you opinions or
Mhm.
criticize the way that you parent, but you're the one who's doing the most of it, it can create a bitter nature. It can create feelings that are not resolved for years and years and years.
Yeah, because when your daughter's asking you, you know, because she goes to school and she's like, well, Dad, my friends always telling me about how they go to spa dates with their mom and they do this and they do that. And she's like, why can do this, why I can't. And I'm sitting there, explaining why. And I can remember as a kid feeling the same things that she's feeling, like asking herself, like, why? Except, I didn't ask my mama those questions. I just kind of left it up to me.
Internalized it.
Exactly. With her, I give her the space to ask me, like, why. Now, a lot of times I don't have the answer, and I just kind of tell her, like, it's not always going to be like this. So don't think that it's going to be this way. But in sense, I just be like, but it makes me want to go hard. But I'm like, at the end of the day, I can't replace. There's nothing I can do that can replace that energy, that light, whatever she is to her. I can't replace that.
But you can take her to the spa.
I can, but it still won't be the same.
It definitely won't. But essentially, I
They're
think.
going to be like, weird ass nigga. Who's this guy?
No, me and my husband go to the spa all the time. But no, I just feel like in holding a gender role as one type of parent, having the opposite type of children, it's things you do that you wouldn't normally do. With my children being boys, it's me signing them up for sports, being on the sidelines, yelling and screaming, doing things I wouldn't naturally do. It's me going to the barbershops, getting their hair cut. It's me doing these things that I don't think that is a job for a woman, but also it's 2023, and at this point,
Somebody gotta do
it's
it.
a job for whoever needs to do it. And if that's her getting her nails and toes done, and Daddy is in the chair getting his feet massaged too, the gender roles. I think growing up, they were so focused. There was so much focus on what women do and what men do. And now when we have to parent either one and we're not that same gender, we have to be able to relate. We have to be able to understand. And although we cannot replace those shoes, we have to try to make amends. And sometimes that's us doing things we wouldn't naturally want to do. I know, Maurice, you have women, you're raising young women and young men. Is there ever a time where you feel like you can't fill shoes based on the fact that you're not a woman to your daughter? You're not a mother to your daughters?
Yeah, there is with things like that, like spa dates and all that type of stuff. I mean, I go. Well, we ain't been in a while, but I did go and get pedicures and stuff like that with them. But it's definitely different. Like, they're going with their dad. They're not going with their mom. So it's definitely different. I'm pretty sure the conversations we having when we're there are different and everything else than what it would be if they were going with their mom. So it's definitely some struggles there. And then there's just like, my kids always was like, hey, Daddy, can we paint your nails or can we do this? And this is probably where I'm not the best dad at, because I'm like, man, fuck that. Like, I'm not down with it. So
Because that's how we were
So-
raised, that nail painting
you know
is
what
for
I'm saying?
girls and not for
But there's
boys.
other parents that do it, and it, that's cool. But it's like, it's not like it's not like it's really like a big issue. It's just like, I mean, every once in a while I might cave in, and I'm like, all right, go ahead. But it was like, you can't do it every time you want to do it. You know what I'm saying? I'll let you go ahead and do it this time, but you're gonna use the clear. We ain't gonna use no color. You getting the same type of,
My
you know what I'm
girl's
saying?
on
You
your ass.
get to me, you getting the same what you want.
You're still we're
but you know what I'm saying?
compromising.
Yeah,
You're teaching
yeah,
your
it's
children
a
at a young age.
compromise, so-
Sometimes you compromise because these
Yeah.
are things you want and these are things I want. And as your parent, I'm able to come to a meeting ground with you.
Yeah, and then I've always been like, I guess I'm just like a hard ass or something. I don't know, cause
You might be.
my kids would just be they tell me, they be like, Daddy, you just like, you so mean sometimes, and I'm like, man, I don't think I'm mean. Like, I think I'm cool. I think I'm understanding and all this other stuff. It's just that when I can't give y'all everything y'all want when y'all want it. You know what I'm saying? But that's also me trying to teach y'all that life ain't set up like that. Just cause you want stuff don't mean you're gonna get it. Like, you gotta be okay and comfortable with being told no and failing sometimes.
Because it's a part of life. It's
that's
reality.
just what life is. Once you get out from under my roof and you got to live on your own, you're going to start having all these things. And if I'm sitting here coddling you and giving you everything you want every second you want it, eventually you're going to think that's how life is supposed to be. So when you get out here and people start telling you no and different things like that, you're going to be like, why can't I have it? I'm supposed to get everything I want. No, that ain't how it works.
His girls might do push-ups, and I've witnessed that, and I've been like,
yeah,
oh my
so
God,
but that's the thing that, you know, and that's just part of parenting. It's like, you know, sometimes they don't understand that sometimes the no is a lesson.
Oh, they'll understand it when they get older, but as children,
Yeah.
I don't think any of us comprehend. But now you do have a helpmate, you do have a partner.
Yeah.
She is a woman. You do have 2 daughters. How does that impact you parenting? Or does it?
It does, cause like, you know, now you're dealing with, there's another person around, and I gotta take to their input of what's going on also when they give me some advice like, hey, you know, maybe you shouldn't do that, or maybe you should do this, or hey, you know, sometimes you let them push you over, you'll push over on this, or you let them, so, and then, you know, sometimes I'm like, you know what, I probably am, and sometimes I'm like, I already know I'm gonna push over on that, but it's like, it's my give and take in places, and then it got to the point where it's like, I know sometimes I let my kids get away with stuff I shouldn't have been letting them get away with, so now I'm like, I gotta fix this issue.
Somebody's holding you accountable for doing
they
that.
hold me more accountable, and it's like I gotta fix these issues that I was trying to fix, but I might go hard for like a week or 2 or a month or 2-3 months, but then after a while I'm like, I start letting them get away with certain stuff again.
Shit, man.
So it's like, you know, so now I got to deal with that. Now that goes back to the co-parenting.
Mm-hmm.
So now when they talking to their mom about certain stuff, it looks like I'm only doing this because there's another person
Somebody
involved
else
now.
said it.
So now we got to go through those type of issues and have those type of discussions and stuff when it's not that. It's just something that's always been that, and it's something that I've always done with them. It's just that they don't see it that way because I might do it for a little while, but then I don't. And then I might do it for a little while, then I don't. And then so, like, things are changing a little bit. And it's just, you know, it's just a learning curve.
Yeah, it's again, life. Things happen,
just life.
Things change. Do you ever just get tired of being tired?
Yeah, I do, but you know, but like, so when I was younger, like I said, I always made that promise to myself that I'm not gonna be the person that I seen in my life. So, like I said, no matter which way any of these situations worked out, I was gonna do whatever I needed to do to make sure I was in my kid's life, even if it was like the mom had custody and I had to go back to Atlanta. I'd be living in Atlanta right now if that was the case. You know, I was
Because that would have
always,
been your, I don't have a choice.
yeah, it was like, I don't have a choice. I gotta be down there because I'm not, you're not gonna be able to keep me away.
Right.
Period. Like,
Have you ever sought therapy?
No, I never sought therapy. I mean, I talk to people every once in a while and stuff, like friends and stuff like that. But I never sought professional help.
Do you think that anything that you've mentioned during this episode is trauma?
All of it is.
Okay.
All of it is. But see, my thing is like, I guess I'm like more of like that old school black man that most people be like, you know, they never want to get therapy and all this other stuff. Like, that's me.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like,
it's
you know,
not just you though. A lot of our men are like
I
that.
feel like I'm open enough. You know what I'm saying? I understand a lot, and I don't hide anything. I don't try to be like, nah, that's not what it is. Like, I know what's trauma is trauma, and like I know I set up ways to work my way through stuff on my own, which is probably not the best thing, but I just feel like I don't really need to go seek professional help with that because I have people around me that are loving and supporting, and and they give me good advice. They don't sugarcoat shit, and they're not a yes man, and they're not gonna tell me what I want to hear just because I want to hear it. They're gonna tell me what the real is, and when you have that, I just feel like you don't need to seek professional help for some things, because sometimes in those conversations, there's things that get told to you that set off a switch,
You
and
got
you like,
professional help though.
and
You
you like,
that.
yeah, because one of my
He's a professional.
friends is a professional, but it's like certain things, certain people tell you it'll set off something in you, and you'll be like, you know what, I was looking at that wrong.
That's also because
And I
you're
just-
open to hearing
you know what I'm
and
saying?
listening, and
Yeah.
a lot of men aren't. Have you ever sought professional help, or do you think? What do you think that?
That nigga got the same professional help.
Oh,
I got.
it's too shy. Listen, this is one big happy family circle.
You know, I definitely would say, because I got my daughter's therapy at one point, and talking to her, she was just like, she kind of like let me know certain things that I kind of already know or knew about myself. So I will say, like, it definitely can help, but when you kind of like spend some actual time, like self-growth, like being honest with yourself, because I'll definitely say it's been moments where I looked in the mirror and like had conversations with myself and understand that I can have the hardest conversations and be like, yo, you're not on this, you're not on that, like you're not on your A game. To be able to have those hard conversations, to be able to like, yo, and also looking, because when I first came back to Kansas City, I was extremely angry, and I found myself being angry at my daughters, and I'd be like, and I had to catch myself, because I was like, yo, Hassan, like, what are you really mad at? Because you can't just be mad at, you know, the female being, because you understand,
Then
like,
you're gonna hate everybody.
exactly, because then I started looking at all women, you know, and I'm not gonna lie, like, one thing is, if you can't be real with me, it's you know, because I understand, like, it's 2023, people are gonna always have somebody like here, and if you're not gonna be real with me about that, like, I don't even, because I'm gonna tell you, like, if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you, but if I sense that you're not being real, and that's probably the one thing that I'm not bending on, like, because I understand now from my situation, is to learn to be vulnerable, is to show that you care. You have to do those things, you know, because that's how you truly win. Everybody that I know that's successful wasn't trying to hide anything. And it's like, people be like, you all gonna have secrets, and I understand, but it's like the core, you know, the essence of what you are, who you are, like, you can't beat that. So overall with these and I was gonna ask you one question, Maurice, with being like, because I'm dealing with, you know, women with that don't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Is kids, like, in the future something that you want, or
Damn,
you're
that
kind
was
of
on my list.
No. I didn't. No, I did not want no more kids.
and she's comfortable with, she don't want no kids.
Well, she ain't having kids.
Oh, okay.
She can't. So
Okay,
you
I
know what I'm
understand.
saying. She has stuff going on with her that she can't have kids. But I at one point I wanted more kids, but I only wanted more kids with my kid's mom. I never wanted more kids with someone else. Like, and that was a thing for me. I, you know, I always known if I was to get with someone else, I did not want to have kids with them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just what that was.
But you're dating
Yeah.
people that can have children,
Yeah.
don't have children, and you
Yeah.
have two. So
Yeah.
are
Yeah,
you
so-
done?
No, I do
But
want
I know
kids.
I know you honest with people though. So I know you probably had those conversations once you get to a point in a relationship where, you know, y'all got to figure that out. So
I mean, those things that you right off the rip. You know
Yeah,
what
it
I mean?
ain't even
like
no
you
point.
ask them.
That's immediate.
You know what I mean? Because like,
well,
this-
I mean, I said that because sometimes you deal with people that you just know that it's never gonna be a relationship anyway. So you never even have that. You never even.
yeah,
have
we're
that
not gonna have
conversation.
those.
So when I say when it
cares?
comes to it when it, you know,
Potentials get those questions.
yeah.
You know what
Oh,
I
you
mean?
get.
like, oh, okay. Let's see what
So
you
what
think
he's
of that.
saying is, if he's just fucking you, he doesn't need to have a discussion about
don't
whether or
need to
not you
have those
desire
type of
children.
conversations.
However, if you're a potential mate, then he will have the conversation until he doesn't.
Like, cause we gotta see. Because I will say, like, some of them, like, I do know some women that don't have any kids, and they're like, you know, and me having kids, and I tell them that I do. Like, sometimes, like, I feel like their conversation kind of switches a little bit. from sometimes they'll be like, they'll stand on it, like, no, I don't want any kids, I didn't have kids now, like, I'm cool. Or they'll be like, well, maybe.
Because
You know.
it is a big difference dating a man who has joint weekend custody than dating a man that when you go to their house every single time their kids gonna be there because their mama ain't nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big difference, and the perspective that you have when you're dating that type of person may shift based on what type of parent they are. But for me, anytime I see a man taking care of their children and don't need to hear somebody say he ain't doing it because I'm watching, you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing it one-on-one. That's attractive to me, and I could imagine that could be clickbait for y'all anyway. Do y'all you use that?
Like I don't press it like that because, because I don't want any fakeness. You know what I mean? Like I don't want anybody that sees what I'm doing thinking that like, oh, I'm gonna be getting in and be like this and that. Because then it's like I don't want that, because my girls are gonna, like, first and foremost, like they're watching. So it's like I have to make sure that the person that's in there, like I tell my daughters all the time, when you find someone that has your best interest at heart. And so nowadays it is hard to find that, because as you get up and older, I'm only getting older, so therefore people are going to find situations for it's like what's comfortable. And a lot of times, what's not comfortable is not, it's not, I'm not willing to deal with comfortable, like, because there's no point.
So you don't want to make so bad you're just gonna compromise all your beliefs. You're gonna you're gonna do what Maurice did.
Yeah, she has to, because like I feel like if I would tell my daughters, make sure that they are everything that you need them to be. Not what, like, you don't need them to do this, because if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're taking care of yourself.
You got somebody else.
So
right.
You just want them, when they're looking at you, like when you're looking at them, they're looking at the same restaurant you're looking at. They're bringing the fork when you bringing the napkin. Like it's all equal, versus, like you feeling like you got to do more or do less, and I don't want a woman that I feel like now, like I got to take care of, because then that'll be that word I can't think of.
Precedent
There you go.
Set for the girls, and
So,
you don't want them to think that they need a man providing those things they should be able to do on their own.
Exactly, because I tell them all the time, I'm not a woman, I've never been one, but I know how to tell. I know I've been a human being long enough, so I can give you integrity, I can give you values. Now how you take with them is how you figure out how you want to be as a woman. But if you want a man to respect you, I could teach you everything you need to know about how to win and get a good man, but that's up to you.
You know how to get a good man? Because you should have wrote a book if you know how that.
I mean, I'm a man. Like,
but you don't know how to get a good woman?
I know how to get a good woman. I never said I don't have like good women. Like I have like women that are around me that be like, Hassan, you playing games.
Oh,
like,
so you're for the streets and you're not ready.
I told them, like, and I'll be honest, I'm like, when I'm 40. Like,
so you bet.
Like, when I tell them, I be honest. When I'm 40, I'll be able to, because it ain't
tomorrow,
like. No, that's on July 27th.
Tomorrow. That's
July
like
27th, I'll be 40.
As long as you being honest, that's
and then
all I feel.
I'll always
I
be
don't
honest.
probably believe that part.
No, because I tell people
I'll always
all the time,
be honest.
like,
I don't
man,
need a lot
as
of
long
you.
as you being honest, because here's my thing. If I'm being honest and I'm telling you everything, and then you make a decision,
that's on you.
You made the decision. I gave you everything that I gave you. What's what? Right.
So what would you tell? So we got people watching, possibly men, possibly women. What would you tell a young man or possibly an old man that wants custody of their children, that is dealing with separation or dealing with bitterness or dealing with what would you suggest they do?
Well, what I would suggest you do is I would suggest you go the legal route. I would suggest you get a lawyer, and I would suggest you do everything you can to make sure that you either have the full custody, the joint custody, or whatever it is that you're going to be comfortable with to make sure that you're in your kid's life. That's what I would say, because anything outside of going the legal route isn't gonna work in the long run. Isn't gonna work. Yeah, it's not gonna work in the long run. So you gotta go the legal route, and you gotta not give up. Like, no matter how much, I know it can become financially hard sometimes and you might have to borrow money from people or find some other type of backing. But the thing is to not give up. So let's say if you did try to go the legal route and it didn't work out, maybe you got tapped out, you couldn't afford it. You know what I'm saying? Do what you need to do, stack some more money up, and then go at it again.
And here
but
in Kansas
just
City,
continue to work at it.
we have University of Missouri, Kansas City. They have a law library. They have students that are going to school for law, and you can go there and use their services, and they will help you file the paperwork.
Yeah.
The custody paperwork is online, y'all.
Yeah.
Google is your friend.
Yeah.
You can
File
go
first.
print it out, fill it out, and submit it with no legal help. Now, is that the best idea for you? Maybe you should seek counsel, but sometimes you don't have funds. You don't have $20K.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just doing as much as you can do to show your children
Yeah.
that you do want to be there for
But
them.
yeah, just don't give up. However you got to do it, just don't give up. Because in the long run, at some point your kids are going to realize, hey, he didn't give up. He kept fighting through whatever it was he needed to fight through to get to this point. Now, it might be that you never ever gain custody of them, but you fought however long you had to fight, and then once they become 18, 19, 20 or something, and you still trying to be in their life, they're going to realize, nah, he's still trying.
They going to
Like,
remember the
he's
consistency.
He's been trying consistently, no matter what I've been told from whoever in family or friends or whatever the case may be going on. He's trying. He's still trying, because that's what happened with me. Like, it became a point where it was like it looked like you was trying, but you wasn't really trying. Like, when you look back at certain stuff, it was like, oh, that was just a bunch of BS. You know what I'm saying? It was just to make it, I don't know, make yourself feel good or something, or make your mother feel good because, she wanted to make sure that you was there for us or whatever the case may be. But you gotta, if you really want to be there, you gotta keep trying.
Be consistent.
You can't just be like, nah, that bitch crazy, man. I ain't fucking.
Because that's what everybody
Yeah,
say. Hassan,
like-
what advice would you give a father, whether despite their age, on trying to gain custody of their children or dealing with not having their children?
I would say definitely find a support group. One thing I will say that there's a lack of is, truly support groups in that situation. Because if you kind of look around, you'll have more conversations of what, kind of failed expectations, or like people that didn't even try it. So I would definitely say talk to people that's been on the other side of it, that's, being where you want to be at. Because you can't talk to everybody if they're not walking that walk, or even trying to attempt to do what you do. Because I've definitely had conversations with a lot of males, and I've even put some guys on my, towards my lawyer, and she's like, literally was like, well, Hassan, she told me, she's like, I'm not going to say no names, but she's like, they're not trying how you are trying. So they're not trying to actually be a father how you're trying to be. And so I get that. So, but the ones that are trying to do it, definitely talk to the ones that are trying to talk to do what you want to do, because it's not easy. There's like, I see on Facebook people be talking about like, men can do the same things and have the same opportunities as women. No, we don't. There's actually, like, I actually filed for food stamps one time, and I put my kids on the application. Come to find out, the woman didn't believe me, didn't put my kids on the application at all. Like, she didn't do nothing I asked her to do. So, there is, there's going to be those moments. So it's like in those moments where it's just like you feel like giving up or feel like quitting. And it's like those will be the moments that your kids remember the most, because they're going to be like, yo, he pushed through. So it's like, as long as you have the ability, you have the ability. It's not, because quitting is easy. Quitting doesn't take no type of nothing.
No energy.
Nothing.
So,
There's no effort. Anybody can be a quitter. You don't have to sign up to be it. You can just be it. You know what I mean? So
So y'all know I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about,
man,
but they do.
I don't know, man. Maybe sometimes people just need to talk to the other parent and really just sit down and figure out what y'all issue is. Sometimes motherfuckers just don't know how to communicate, and they don't want to say what they heard about. They don't want to say what pissed them off, set them off, what was really going on. Sometimes it just take you motherfuckers to be adults and just sit down and be like, hey, man, what the hell is going on? Like, what's the real issue? So we can get past this, because the main thing and the most important thing is that we both here for the child. And figure out what co-parenting look like for y'all.
Yeah, because it's not the same for everybody.
It
And
is.
children are going to expect both of their parents to be around if they're alive and able to be around. This was an amazing show. I appreciate both of y'all for being on. I hope we were able to shed some light on fatherhood, full-time fatherhood, inspire those who need that inspiration, and educate those who didn't have it. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 6. I hope you like, share, and subscribe. We are outie 5,000.
She's black and vocal, vocal, vocal. She's black and vocal as fuck, vocal. She's black and vocal, vocal, vocal. She's black and vocal as fuck, vocal, vocal as fuck.